We'll just jog around for a minute. We'll do whatever you guys jog around for a minute, yeah. You guys know how to warm up.
I'm doing that.
It's like a 5-minute warm up, whatever you need to do on your own. So like 6:35. And then we'll start doing some technique.
That's a genius idea.
I'm a genius.
You got 1 more minute, stretching whatever you need.
Then I emailed back and said, okay, well, maybe we should talk Friday because the weather is warm and because yeah, I need to know what I can do.
And that's another thing, if we get something going on,
Yeah, like they could do the training where they want.
Yeah.
And that's what I told you. Hey, they could do the training where they could actually go with wherever they need.
Or you guys can just circle it up right here, wherever you want to. So, first thing we're gonna go over is some leg defense. We'll start up on our feet when he has our leg, and then we can go back down to the mat and go over some defense from there as well. And so I didn't really learn this leg defense for a while. I always thought somebody gets my leg, I want to try and be tight and kind of pull on his head or pull on his grip. But now I've kind of figured out, offensive guy, when he has your leg, he wants there to be no space between you, his shoulder, his head. He wants everything to be tight. Tightness is his friend because then he can move me around and finish if he wants to. So defensive guy, what we try to do is when he gets my leg, instead of grabbing his wrist, hooking a whizzer, and hooking my leg behind his leg here, I get space and put my lock, put my knee in front of his chest, and then I collar tie his head and grab his wrist. Okay, so he's got my right leg, so my right hand is going to be collar tying, and my left hand is going to be grabbing his wrist here. And then I take my heel and I try and flex it to my butt and back. That way there's pressure on his lock. So if he tries to switch over to a double, I have his wrist here, and I have a better position to balance. And then if he tries to throw his head to the outside, my collar tie keeps his head to the inside. Alright? But weird thing at first is just committing to there being space between you and your opponent. Because it feels scary at first when somebody grabs your leg. You want to lock real tight, okay, and whizzer. But I've just found that it's a lot easier for him to trip me and bring me to my back. So as soon as he tries up to his feet, I push away from his shoulders. I curl my hamstring, collar tie, and wrist. Okay? So this will just be the first thing we work on. And then we'll work on getting our foot back and putting his head on the feet. Alright? But again, he gets to our leg, we're not locked up tight. We push off of his shoulders, Because what can he do? I push off my shoulders. He's in a better position than me anyways right now. So I might as well take a risk. Like I always say, what's the difference between a 2-second takedown and a 30-second takedown? 28 seconds, right? So this one might take a little longer for him to finish, but he's probably got a better chance. If I let go and give space, maybe he finishes right away. But if he doesn't, I take back some position. Now it's going to be a lot more difficult for him to finish from here. And I want you guys to focus on, again, curling your hamstring, hand on his wrist, hand on his head, and then you can just have your partner bounce you around, but from here, and stay out. But again, he can tell you that my hamstring being curled and my heel going towards my butt and back puts a lot of weight on his lock. Go ahead. Does that make sense? Cool. All right, let's do it. 1, 2. So elbow down. If her head's down, then you can just push it down. If her head's up, that's when you want that space to be out.
Well, you're gonna try to create space.
Right on.
It seems like you definitely.
We never got back here.
But there was that tournament. Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah, it doesn't say that.
Just have your partner move you around a little bit too, so you can work on keeping your balance in there. It's a little bit different. We'll grab this. This is a little weaker grip. I grab it like a baseball.
Well, Rob Ryder for sure. He was,
Don, bring it in.
Okay, all right, thanks.
So now we'll work on a couple of different situations that can happen when he has your leg. So I saw one group though that it was your group. One of the girls just had her head down, so she was having when you get your space, you want to have your elbow down. If my elbow's high, Steven can go to high crotch. He's up my hips. He's gonna finish on me pretty easily. So I keep my elbow down when I do this technique. Okay? So I push away, my elbow's down, all right? And I grab his grip. And I grab it just like baseball grip. Okay, my thumb's not to the outside. I don't cut my thumb because if he switches to a double, this isn't as strong. If I have regular grip on it, and he tries to switch to a double, I can pull it away, keep his wrist, and keep his head. All right. And the curl in the hamstring just comes with time. You'll be able to. It'll be more natural, just like anything. The more you do it, the more natural it'll be. Okay. So now there's a couple different things that can happen from here. First one, he gets to our leg. I get space. He keeps his head up. All right, and I grab his wrist. So most of the time when someone's head's up, that means their hips are in. All right, so we need to get their hips away. So perfect single leg position, head up, back straight, hips in. Right, that's where you have the most power. Bad single leg position, head down, hips out, block extended. This is the problem for someone who has their single leg. All right, so we need to put them in that position. Defense, we put people in the positions we wouldn't want to be in if we were the offensive person. All right, so single leg, I get space. He keeps his head up, hips in. What I do is I extend. I was curling my hamstring. Now I want to get his hips out. So I extend my leg, and then I recoil and throw his head underneath. Okay? Again, one more time. He shoots single leg, I get space. I collar tie with my elbow down, I grab his wrist. I extend my leg, and then I recoil it back. As I do that, I transfer his head to my other hand, and my leg goes back here. All right, and I'm always cautious of him transferring over this double leg, but right now that'll pretty much be a death sentence for him because if he transfers over, now he's in big trouble. So I'll put him back down to the mat. Okay. So again, one more time just so you guys can see it. He's in on my leg. I'm not hooked on it tight. I get space. Collar tie, wrist, and especially if his hips are really in, tight, now this works really well. As I extend, keep his wrist, throw his head underneath me, and now to finish it off, you guys can just sprawl all the way down to the mat and circle if you want to. Okay. But his hips are in, we need to get him out. We extend our leg, throw it back, and then in this position, we're on top of his head. We miss our knee straight to our hips. Miss our toe, miss our knee, or miss our toe, miss your toe. Because you don't want to get your toe, once you kick out, you don't want your toe to get stuck in the mat, because now you can't put your hip on him. You want to kick away, put his head underneath you, miss your foot, straight down to your knee. Here. One more time. I get space. I kick away, throw it underneath. I don't stick my toe to the ground. I miss my toe, and I go all the way out. Cool? Any questions? All right, 1, 2. Nice. Yeah. Miss your whole foot straight down to your knee. Be heavier. Yep. Yeah.
To hold your head.
Down wrists.
Second.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you work?
So he's gonna hold onto your leg, just like, as he holds onto your leg, throw his head underneath. Yeah. Throw all the way back.
And backwards, so.
Yeah.
Virginia did that. Get to everyone's back. Oh, really? I need to do
Here.
it.
Oh, is that sure? So you can't pop it. There it's all.
I can't really get anything on you.
Yeah, I think they had a different backup. They said that it was not like kind of junky because.
That was good. And then if you're spinning behind somebody, get them underneath you, sprawl, their lock breaks. Just be careful coming around the waist. Yeah, ankle, back of the thigh.
Celebrate? You gotta extend it.
Yeah. Now there's pressure on his head. Left hand is on top. Yeah, because if I do this here, my leg, when I kick away, but I don't put her hand on my head, now I can still get high, she can do those. But when I switch, kick, and switch, now she's got to pick her head up.
What's going on?
If you're doing it with your right initially,
What's going on?
and you still want his wrist. Yeah. So I got here, his face, and I transfer that. Couple more times. Got my leg, I press the leg. Got your leg. So, you're gonna kick the leg, switch my hand that's on the wrist. And then as you top straight up, like,
So,
yeah, and that's where you come
I
down.
did the same
Switch it up on me.
Maybe like you just they have to put the Work Division.
Not to push his head down, that's
That's
what
the
it-
state
yeah.
association.
Yeah.
They didn't have a girls though. They had a boys. They had a lot of boys.
West Virginia State. qualified.
Oh.
I wonder if they had any girls show up.
Tom, bring it in.
I wonder if it's on the 6th. I think they're
It
all
is on
supposed to be on the
the
6th.
Yeah, even Pennsylvania's on the sixth.
I
So,
think they all have.
All right, so next thing,
no.
Oh, they're not.
got my leg
It just
again,
happened that way. Like
up in
boys-
the air. This time,
Last year we just picked whatever.
I get his head down initially to here, but he's strong. He's a strong guy. He fights really hard to get his head up. And I'm trying to hop around to cover him with my hips, but I can't. So as he's fighting up, I'm putting a lot of pressure. I'm putting a lot of pressure on his head right here. Okay, so obviously when I push down on something, when I release pressure, it comes up. Okay? So as I press down, when I release, his body will come up, and I'll drop underneath. My shoulders underneath his neck, step under, break his lock. Okay? So the transition's here. He gets my leg.
As long as West Virginia, like.
I don't want it to be tight. He wants it to be tight. That's an easy finish for him. Okay? So I press back, space, elbow down, collar tie, wrist. Now I got to figure out a way to get his head down. So I kick, bring it down. Heel still curled. Now he's too strong. I can't bring him to the mat. So I pressure down on the back of his head. When I feel him fighting up real hard, I release, drop my level, come underneath of him, break his grip.
But she was still registered on the West Virginia.
So it's a lot.
All-American.
Okay.
All-American girl.
So partner,
No,
when you get your space, you kick, and you put his head underneath you, you got to keep your lock. Because if your lock breaks, then I'll just circle out, right? Go behind him, kick him in the face, whatever you guys do. So I go out, I get his head underneath me, I kick, put it underneath me. He fights really hard to bring it back up. I release, shoulder underneath the chin, on his elbows, on his wrist, wherever you want to be, and then kick your heel to the mat.
Yeah.
Here.
And then there's something.
Cool? So a little progression. All right? 1, 2.
Hey, right on time, Bianchi. Yeah, drive my head down. Drive your head down. Drive my head down, right? And then when you yes. You're getting that frame with your shoulder, your arm.
It's just a pin. As you pull back,
Thomas, why you go over? I hate to surgery. You go over Jason's just an arm. That's why I want to. Yeah, exactly.
He's going to something, so you don't do
Keep your block. Let's go. Now it's pop up. Yeah, exactly. Now it's just crash on the leg down. You're making like a frame with your shoulder. Right after coming up here.
20 to 25. Got the day. Same day as Maryland, same day as Virginia State. It's pretty tough. I did I would like to
I've been working on for about 5 years now, so they'll come out all the time.
I should have read that. Yeah.
You guys are ready.
At least not very not very popular where you're at. We go west.
Shoulder, yep, there you go. Yeah. Good.
35.
I graduated in 2005.
But then I changed it. That's what 7 days.
All the way up to Shane. You get on Yeah.
Paris. Close to the week, but not right in this area. I wish I tried. That's one of the things I've always been She doesn't do gymnastics. She wants to do football while I was about 8 or 9, like MMA. Don't quite have that good.
Don't look away. Yeah. I like
You're not ball stretching out.
There's like,
I would have loved to. I would have been
yeah. I think Snyder.
Yeah.
No, don't be that naive. I just have some of my kids.
trying to bring a Guinness World Record.
See, I was like, I'm like,
Got swords.
it's like this.
All right, bring it in. Okay, this time, is there any other questions from head inside shots these guys struggle with, defensively wise? Is that pretty much, as long as you, and then there's the times where somebody will try and lift you up, right? Lift you off of your feet. And this is where it really takes a lot of faith in positioning itself. Positioning trumps everything, right? Somebody can be stronger than you, faster than you, but if you have better positioning, it'll level the playing field most of the time, beat them. Okay, so where this really comes in handy is and believing in space in this position is when a guy gets underneath your hips and he beats you. So if he gets underneath my hips and he lifts me up here, I push off of his shoulders, get back to space. Okay? So that's where knowing the technique, getting used to it, and believing in it, believing that it's gonna work, becomes really important. Because this guy wants to win the position back, right? If he's offensive guy and I try and get space, he's gonna try and stay on my leg, right? So that's kind of a battle there here. He's gonna be trying to relock up, but if he does relock up and he beats my elbow and he's able to get me off the ground, I plank with my hips strong, and I push back off of his shoulders here. So he lifts, get up, I push back. Okay. And he can tell you I get a lot. If I just were to keep my body straight and not push, he can lift me up, probably slamming my back. Okay? If I just keep my body straight. That's what a lot of people do. They'll just sprawl real tight, won't use their hands, keep their body straight, and it helps this guy. Or they'll try and hook onto him real tight. That also helps this guy. What we're gonna do is we try to get space in the beginning. We couldn't. He gets up in our hips. He lifts us up. We hop off, and then we can do any of those options. From this one. Let's just work on that for a second. Have your partner get up in your hips, and then as he lifts you off the ground, you push off of his shoulders. Get back in the position. Cool. 1, 2. Let's try the other side. Most importantly,
Is there a ref pushing you?
Did I pick her up right?
push off as far as you can. As you lift your foot off the ground, push your chest away, push your body away, back to that position. You guys are at the Maryland banquet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing your mom, right? You were at the Maryland banquet? Yeah. I remember that.
Remembers my mom.
There's perks.
I did.
Someone having a reception. So we'll get into that.
Of course.
But actually it's probably cut off because I have it.
Well, that's pretty crazy.
Wait, let me get it on.
As soon as I can make that frame there, that kills me. I just kind of fall.
How much do you weigh?
Nice.
Yeah, that's fast. There.
Good. Good. And then when you guys get her back in front, just finish it out. Kick, extend her hips, get her head underneath you.
When you do the frame, it goes like an A and B, not like step 1 and step 2.
Really good.
Yeah.
And I push back, and I circle away.
Okay.
Circle towards the lock.
Yeah.
Wait.
Okay. Yes. Get them all stretched.
Right.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Nice.
I've never like really gone for courses. Like that course we were going.
Oh, was that?
Dry food.
Yeah, from the shoulders. You'll be able to push away further from the shoulders. There you go. That was really
I won't be there because I have a nonprofit thing to do.
Yeah, I saw Nick, I got 5 lines. Were they fractured or just?
I smacked you. Smacked you. Like 20 times. We do that? Yes, maybe it's long.
All right, bring it in.
I felt bad for that.
Now we'll switch. Unless you got any other questions about head inside single on your feet, any positions that you get into you struggle with. If not, we'll switch to head outside for a second. Cool. So now the guy shoots a head outside shot. Okay? He shoots a head outside shot. We're gonna post
Oh, good.
on his elbow. And our outside hand is going to go on his head as we put our leg, as we curl our hamstring, curl our toe to our butt, and pressure down. Okay? So now there's only a couple things he can do from here. Either cut the corner and run double, but I got his elbow posted, or run the pipe. Okay? So, normally, I stop him from running corner, and then as he runs the pipe, okay, run the pipe, it's just when you circle the guy back, and try to bring him to his butt. Alright? So, as he tries to cut corner, it doesn't work, then he's going to go to run the pipe. As he runs the pipe, I stop my foot down. Okay? And when I do that, normally his hips go back, so he loses a little bit of power. Alright? So we went from good head inside position to where he can cut double. I'm posting on his tricep here, so he can't cut double on me. Pressure on his head. It's constant pressure too. Okay? It's not up, release, release, release. It's constant pressure on his body. Wearing him down, wearing his lower back down, wearing his neck down. Okay? So, tricep, head, he tries to cut. I don't let him, he runs the pipe. I stop my foot, and now I take my foot that's on the ground because he's lost power in his hips went back as he tried to run the pipe. And now, same thing that we kind of did with the single leg, but now head outside. I bring my foot back, bring him to the ground, try to break his lock by hitting him with your other hand and run behind him. Okay?
Is that your tips?
So, again, he's in on the leg, elbow, head, we keeping my foot off the ground, put as much pressure as I can on this lock. And you know, if you're wrestling someone good, fighting someone good, the lock's just not gonna break. So you're gonna have to work to break it. So he'll try and cut double. He can't. He'll try and run pipe. I'll stop my foot. Stops his movement. Now, foot that's on the ground is gonna go back. I'm gonna extend him and square him out of the hip. So I'm behind. Cool? One more time. He tries to double leg me. I stop it. He runs pipe. I stop my foot. Now, it's quick too. I mean, I'm teaching, so it's not as fast, but it's quick. Once I stop my foot, I bring it up the mat, extend him back, and circle around. Cool? So this one's head outside. All right, 1, 2.
Jim Chapman.
Nice to meet you.
I'm just saying get away from the wall seats.
Stop your foot. Yep. Stop your foot right away. As soon as he starts running that corner, stop my foot. His block won't break. You know, your foot still stopping to the ground. Stop his foot.
What happens like this? Like, he's already has his leg on the right hand like that.
Yeah. Well, I was still cool to see instruments. What's that? I would love that because you're going to be getting tired of it. I'll keep you there for a long time. Keep sprawling, keep fighting. Eventually, you won't fall down. I like to bring that on there and they're willing to fight that fight because I've been underneath them before. I'm in good shape and I get really tired.
I'm gonna try to convince that guy just to let them wrestle with other states, but still qualify.
It's easier if you like push your foot down first.
She said she'll train at the regional things.
Oh, wait. Yes, you just did it.
Probably do like
Throw the hamstring is always stronger than this foot. Yeah. Stop. Throw your heel.
No,
They figure out ways to do other stuff. That's what
No, that's good.
We're not allowed but we will make sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Forgot all the down.
I was telling you, we kept going as soon as.
Have you pour your waters in here? Pour your waters in here?
It's 5 days.
Okay, bring it in.
This summer? Yeah, it's like June 26th through the week.
Any questions with that?
Where's the car keys? I'm gonna get the water.
Okay. Yeah, so he's in on the high crotch. The whole time, like I said, I'm not resting my elbow on his head or on his back. The whole time I keep my hand on the top of his head, back of his neck, and this hand on his tricep. So when he runs the pipe, I stop my foot, I keep my hand on his head, and then again, curl my leg back. Bring him in that. Okay, but the whole time, I try and keep my hand on his head. Cool? Yeah. So now, we'll go down to the mat a little bit. So this time, he'll have a head inside single leg. Up in good position here. Okay? So, what I need to do, this leg down. Okay. So, to break the guy down from this position, now we know what to do if he's on our feet. But to break a guy down from this position, to bring his knee back, what we have to do is we have to circle backwards to get this knee to the floor and then cover his head. So what I do is I try to bring his head down here if I can. Close it down. Alright, if I can't, I'll just grab his wrist back of his head and I'll circle backwards until I put that knee to the ground. Once that knee touches to the ground, then I take my outside hand, I cover his head, with both hips. I think one of the most common things that I see in wrestling a lot is people will sprawl, but they'll only be giving a guy one hit here. Okay? So only half the power, and if he wants to pop his head out and cut the corner on me, either inside or here, cut the corner on me there, pop me back, he can finish. So I want to make sure that I cover his head with both of my hips. So he's going to start in good single leg position here. I'm going to try and bring his head down. If I can bring his head down, great. If I can't, I just keep pressure on it. I walk back, bring that knee to the ground, I cover. And then I post on his thighs. Just so that if he tries to crawl forward, back up to his feet, he can't. Okay? And then a little trick that I learned to break a guy's lock. So if he's got a strong lock on me, and I cover him with both hips, and it won't work, what I'll do is I'll take my outside hip and I'll turn it in and I'll walk my feet towards his lock. So his lock's on my right leg. I'll walk my feet towards his lock and then circle back. I bring his lock away from his body, basically. But again, if I circle him back, his knee goes down, and if I cover him with both hips, if I try to walk away his lock, one hip open, here. He'll end up finishing the single. I don't want that to happen. So when I break him down, I keep my hips squared, maybe even favor this outside hip, and I walk my feet backwards to the side. Here. And then you can either run either way, do whatever you guys do. Or backside, body lock, any type of that stuff. Any questions? Pretty simple stuff, but it's the small details that matter. Yeah. His foot's up, he's in good position, right? This is a position where he could drive through me, finish. But we've already stopped so many shots on his feet. He said, I'm going to try and score on my knees. So I try to bring his head down. I circle back, that knee comes. I cover with both of my hips. Not one hip, both of my hips. Okay, posted on his thighs so he can't drive up. And then this outside hip here, I focus on pressuring it in even more than I typically would, because I definitely don't want this hip to be open as I circle towards his lock. So I focus on putting more pressure with that hip into his body, circle towards his lock, it breaks, circle behind. Cool? 1, 2.
What time of day is that? Hopefully it's
Yeah, but don't make sure your head's in your
Well, you did something. What did you do? Fill it with water?
We're not saying where it's from.
What?
I'm trying to beat this.
So he has my leg. What I do, that knee's up, I circle it back.
I was trying to go to that side. Right, he has his leg up, maybe I could circle that side. Right, yeah, with the wizard.
Yeah, you got this ball has to do it. I just circle back.
I have a question next to Mark. You said walk fast. Until he has the knee on the ground. Where's that pressure shooting down on you? Your hand on the ground.
Hand on the back. That's quick. It's a quick one. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Quick back. Go backwards. And then you're going into the fire. Cool. I know there's a lot of other people that yeah, I'll get it so you can do your thing.
Who's the guy? And it's spelled
It does. Come, bring it in. So this one will go up against the wall. This is something that this is another high crotch one that I think specifically for fighting. I think you know what guys will have you against the wall pin here, maybe with their head outside. Okay, and you for wrestling, there's no wall obviously, so I'll do it with nobody here. But for fighting, there is a wall. Okay, same thing. I would cover his elbow here, and then what I'm gonna do is he's pushing into me, right? He's pushing into me tight. So I'm gonna slip his shoulder and take my outside hand underneath. Okay? And now I have a single leg of my own. I'm gonna get my hips in. Finish. Okay? So his head, he's gonna go exactly where he wants to go. He's pressuring into me. He wants to keep me against the wall, the fence, whatever. Okay? So I'm pressuring on so he can't get this double leg and finish. If he gets a double leg, we're in trouble. So I'm pressuring, keeping this elbow tight, and then I'm taking a step to the outside. I'm floating my stomach over the top of his shoulder, and my outside hand reaches underneath. And now from here, most of the time, he doesn't see it coming, so we have a split second to explode our hips through. Put him against the wall. Pressure here, step outside, grab, hips through. Finish. Again, he's got us up against the wall. Okay, we can still pressure his head down. We can, here it's a little hard to put on his head because we're against this wall, so maybe we just put our hand on his back. Elbow, he's pressing me against tight. We don't want to switch that double, so we step to the outside, re-switch his leg, hips in. For a finish of our own. And then, again, if you're just a wrestler, here, as soon as he gets to the high crotch, he's in good position here, good position to finish. I just switch to the outside. Cool? Any questions? So, if you're just a wrestler, you probably can do it without the wall. If you're a fighter, wall's probably good for you. Ready? 1, 2.
That's pretty neat.
Whatever you're talking
To the moon!
Underhooks, yeah.
I sit in the corner, I'm here, and then our hip comes out.
Are you finishing that match like your leg, or are you just running one leg?
I always stay on one leg. I never switch off.
Yeah.
But if you can, more if you can,
Just drive them.
drive up high. Yeah.
Okay, get 'em. Okay, thank you.
This is more of your,
My game.
you want to,
Yeah, yeah.
Or just bring the leg high. But it really, I think it would really work well if you got to get pressure before back and that's where you split. You can really split. Slip his body.
No,
Like here, and then you grab it.
you can take that. The thing is, like, if you're there, you got it in on that, you can lift me up. But like in the past, elevating my leg off. I think that was me on my head. Hydraulic system.
Just watching you guys do up. I remember watching the
Heel hook. Ultimate arm training. I love this game. I got so excited. So I mentioned there could be a bit of counter that otherwise I'm trying to circle. Like continue circling. If they reach over here to lift me up, I'm gonna have to continue circling around towards the back. Yeah. If I'm in here and you come around, I'm gonna have to try to swing to the back somehow.
For me, I wouldn't swing to the back. If I'm in over here, I'm trying to drive this way.
Oh, guys, just abandon that grip and
I would move side to side. It's a lot harder for me to balance like this. And if I'm coming around back and you're behind me, then I feel like
yeah, you can show me into it.
I think like some people you might finish on like that, but most of the time, guys are just breaks out of that. You're gonna be right back.
From there circling around. So I'm saying that's not your thing. My first instinct, I always try to be like hip lock and high lock and stuff.
When you're circling around.
Yeah, so like, I started on you, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't. I'm not good at throws, so you're probably better.
I just So on my side, they
Yeah. Yeah.
They just started that run.
Don, bring it back in. All right, so I'm gonna show a high crotch finish that I think I know that they'll probably like go to your throat if your head's to the outside, but I think that this finish could work well if your head does happen to be outside and the guy's sprawling back. So if he tries to go to my throat, I release my hand, cover my neck, and as I do that, I knee slide up outside of his foot and bring his hips up. You can either cut across your double, stay on one leg to your finish. So, wrestling translation for that, a lot of times in freestyle or folk style, somebody will try and go body lock on you here, okay? How I break that body lock, same way. I use my elbow and my knee outside to scoop my hips through, and then I re-wrap my leg, drive across for the finish. But in fighting, they probably won't go body lock as much, they'll probably go around your throat. So when he lifts his hands off of me, I don't need two legs. I don't need two hands to keep a hold of his leg, okay? I can release one hand, cover my head, and then I knee slide outside of his foot to really get my hips in and his leg off the mat. Because once his leg's off the mat, then it's easy finish for me, okay? So he tries to come to my head, I block, knee slide out, finish. He's got a body lock on me, and this, you want to try and do it as fast as you can, but especially if he's got the body lock, it might take 1 or 2 hits to break his lock, hopefully the first one, but if he's got body lock on me, he's sprawling his leg back, I release, elbow off his grip, so you keep it real safe. I elbow off his grip, knee slide outside. Up to my feet. Any questions with that? Yeah.
Can you show the knee slide portion of that, like really slowly?
For sure. So by myself, just by myself, high crotch position, one knee's down, other knee's up, my hips in, my head's up, my shoulder, everything is tight to his body. Okay, the tighter I am to his body, the easier it'll be for me to finish. All right, your hips are the strongest part of your body, so I try to keep them glued. But he's gonna sprawl back a little bit, try and go for my head. So I take my outside hand, all I do is kind of collar tie myself, and then I use my inside knee and I push it off to the outside. Release, drive up to my feet. So a drill I always used to do is I would shoot a penetration step and then I would knee slide up just to beat that lock. Okay? So again, I'm in my high crotch. He goes for my neck. I release one hand, my outside hand, cover my own head, and then quickly I take my knee from the inside to the outside. Drive up for a finish. Cool? All right, 1, 2.
You take your bottle off.
Oh, yeah. The whole
If you don't feel like you're on the ground, the did you bump the outside? That's the hardest down.
You get close.
I go outside. Outside. Yes.
Yeah, and then you.
he's looked at when he shoots through.
You gotta take a
Yeah, just coming in. So I'm thinking, wait,
That's why.
That one might I wouldn't leave it.
You want to shoot the knee out to the side.
It's not gonna work. Yeah, see, now just start looking. And then you get on the knee like that or something. They do, they all set themselves up there, like, just to get it. Don't.
Rick Slano told me what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, because anything about people that I don't think.
I gotta get.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to do. When you're breaking that grip, you go over here, you shoot back. Shoot up.
So we gonna wrestle the uniform yet?
Good. Who wrestled you? He's for you.
He would fight and wrestle different.
You look a lot lighter since you wrestled.
Still on you.
Really? How do you wrestle?
Head up.
You went to good counsel, right? Yeah. You went to straight up. Your assistant coach is it Daniel?
One head up. Set your head down.
Sir. You can't go.
That's the basic.
No, you just you gotta be 100.
Unless he's able to break my
If I'm far back there, I don't like a
By the time I come up, he keeps signing his own death warrant there.
Yeah, I came as close as things. And the only time you worry about something like he's kind of like, he gets space away.
Yeah, now I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Just sliding
Another reason why.
to the outside.
Yeah.
They strip the pole around.
So I use this one.
Hey, you remember that, right?
You gotta roll that.
All right?
Am I gonna remodel this out?
Yeah, you gotta keep your head. You know how to work.
Yeah. Believe me, I know.
You're gonna have to teach me how to. I've always been wanting to. 1, 2, 4.
It's a rhythm. Like it's like a 1, 2. See it again. Exactly.
Oh yeah.
You get it? 1, 2. You know, the people are really good. It's like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, which I can't do. Yeah, like full body. It's not like a machine gun. I'm happy if I get up. Bad thing is my average. It's one day. I think it's my night. Yeah. See, you feel stupid, you just did it yourself.
So Kyle, are you ever to be in PA anytime soon? I coach for high school. And yeah, I mean, anytime you're around the way I do, it's the first time this thing's ever done it. I don't worry about everything else. It's a developing school, so it's not a lot of kids. Yeah, it gives them a reason to come, you know, to the city. It's a tough crowd. Cool, yeah. Sounds good. And, everyone, yeah, you should definitely come around. It's a really awesome place. You do. Anytime Don wants to open the room, or you want to do it. Well, yeah, I mean, you're still 21, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm not super
Oh, yeah, he is. That's how we got the John Jones.
No, not at all. But
You should have done it in my last one.
go like there. Your combat.
John, bring it in! Alright, I'm gonna open it up for like any questions in any positions that you guys struggle in and want a little technique in. If you don't have any questions, then I can show more stuff. Just anything that I think of, but I don't know if you guys have any positions that you feel like you could use some help in. Yeah.
For like over unders, like what's your go-to for my over under? Like
Show me the position.
here.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, sure. Sounds good. Yeah. So over under position, typically I won't lock my hands because I don't do that much throwing, but I have some things that I do like from here that I'll score with, so we can go over that. So one, the side that has the underhook, right hand underhook, right leg forward. Okay. If I pummel, we switch to the other side, left leg underhook, left leg forward. Okay. And I try to keep my shoulder in the center of his chest. The lower my shoulder is, the more control I have of this position. The easier it is for me to drive. The lower his shoulder is, the more he can drive. Okay? That's just lower man wins, right? Been hearing that for a while. So, same goes for wrestling. Guy who's the lowest usually wins. And then, what I do is my outside hand goes into his elbow crease, right here. Okay? Just hook it on his elbow. Alright? And then actually one of my favorite scores from here, one that I hit a lot, is I'll keep my underhook strong and I'll go from his elbow crease down to his wrist. Okay, so small change. I go from his elbow crease down to his wrist, and then I'll push forward, push up on his underhook so he jacks back down. And as he jacks back down, I arm drag. Okay? So I started right foot forward, trying to keep my shoulder low. Normally we're about even. It's hard to really dominate this position. Hand is blocking in his elbow crease. I switch down to his wrist. I even try to push it off maybe a little bit down to my hip. Then I act like I'm throwing him by. He comes down hard, and I arm drag. And arm drag is just going to be from this underhook, so you guys can see, this underhook is going underneath to his tricep, and I'm pulling it across. And then you can step in body lock, leg, come behind him, all those things. So, shoulder position, elbow crease, down to his wrist. You can push it down to your hip if you want to, but he doesn't really feel like he's in much danger from here, too much, you know. But then, fake him out on this side. Try to throw him by, I can't. Arm drag. Cool? Let's try that one. 1, 2. Yeah. Nice.
This is like the one thing I'm okay at.
Can we see your sweep single and your blast double?
Thank you. Don't be afraid to open your mouth. Don't be afraid to open your mouth. I know younger.
Yeah.
They tend to be like, well, not just go super slow. Once I go over that, I feel like I started getting a lot more out of
There you go. Yeah.
This way, they're going to put pressure down.
Oh shit, I was going that way.
Get down first, right?
Every time I look at the wrist.
Okay.
That time it doesn't work unless you're not pressuring it.
It's going to be hard to drag on a tricep or up here. You can do slide down to a wrist. I'm here. Slide down to a wrist. Try to put up. It'd be really good for you.
Yeah.
Hammer down. This, yes, I'll put a hammer down. This arm is almost make your down still where I want it to. It's almost like you're hitting yourself in the face. Okay. Yeah, but this arm is here already.
You can even throw it like
Couple more reps of this. Couple more reps.
Yeah, see how much faster it is?
You know what? I was too high.
It's like, and he's calling him for it too. Yeah. Just boom.
Yeah, the key is literally just get shoulder under the chin. Just kick it up. Oh yeah, and you were in this position when you were here. There's a move where you pull back and hook this leg.
Is it across the threshold?
Yeah.
Okay, bring it in.
You gotta watch out for guys though.
So, I was asked to show sweep single and double leg. First thing I'll show is a double leg because it's kind of from this same underhook position. This time it's not going to be body to body. This time I'm going to just have underhook and I'm going to give him head position. Okay? And his wrist. Alright? So you can get into the underhook any way you want to. You can club, underhook, and you never want to underhook. I'm just doing it because I'm speaking. But you never want to underhook with your head high because he'll step around and throw you. You don't want that to happen. Okay? So when I underhook, I always underhook with my head down and then I give him head position to make him feel comfortable. Okay? Most of the time, if I try to reach for this leg, it would be really difficult for me to get a score from here. And then on his other hand, I either have his wrist or I like having his tricep. But either one works. Okay? Now from this position, I'm going to circle backwards. Then as I circle him backwards, I'm going to use my underhook in this wrist and pull myself underneath of him here. Okay? Now we're in our double leg. We can run across and finish. So if you have the tricep underhook, we circle him back. You got a little more power here to really throw him over top of you. And if you have the wrist, you can still do the move. Circle him back. Throw him over top of you. I'm not a big blast double from Space Guy. Most of my stuff comes from setups. But the most important part about this move is that you use the underhook and use the wrist or tricep to throw him over top of you. So as I lower my level, this hand here, so you guys, this hand here, as I lower my level, I circle him already, I'm lowering my level, and I use it to throw him under top of me. I mean, if you don't even want to penetrate, if you just want to squat, and then explode up, you can. Or if you want to penetrate, you can. So again, one more time. Get my underhook, wrist, I circle him back. I circle him back so this foot's coming towards me. Circle him back. Throw him over top. Tricep, same deal. Circle him back. Throw him over top. Cool? 1, 2.
Right now? Like half an hour.
Yeah, that position there. There you go. She has a position that's going to be hard to go underneath. So you want to give it her. That position. Circle away. Circle forward. Circle away.
Yeah, see how this Steve is?
Oh, okay. It's because you don't want to do it.
Holes.
I'm getting casual.
So you guys.
You're one of the few things that are advantage of being skinny. What do you got? Woo! Thank you.
You're like 13 pounders. Yeah. I'll come up and dude, you can come up.
Yeah.
I would love to like look at you. Yeah, if you're ever
Can we do a weekend?
yeah, we can.
Just let me know.
Yeah, because I actually want to teach a Brazilian jiu-jitsu class.
I can do that like based off like something doing in wrestling and
You can do whatever you want. Kids don't know anything. Okay.
I like it. Pretty chill. Yes, I feel like I'm gonna stop you on my head here.
Maybe you might.
Just one wrestling guy. I don't see it though. Anyways, and then they'll go like like try to chase anything.
Boom!
What year?
Yeah. Oh, 1, 0, 2 or something like that.
Oh, really? Just had a good question. Good question about from the arm drag. So we're in our over-under position. All right. We do the arm drag here, and he puts his butt out. Now it's hard for us to run. Okay. So one thing that I do, if I feel that, or if I see my opponent do that, or I try to arm drag him once here, and his butt goes out, and I can't get my hand to his leg. One thing I'll do is I'll fake the arm drag so he pulls his body up, and then I'll lower my level to a single to the same leg. Okay? So I'm here, I arm drag, he pulls up, and now you can either snatch, single, or penetrate up to your feet. Because most of the time, Steven arm drags me, most of the time, I'm pulling up and away with my leg back, right? So if Steven fakes the arm drag, he's in on my leg. So I'm here. I know he's gonna put his leg back. I know he's gonna pull his arm back. So I try to arm drag, he does. And I go into his leg. Does that make sense? And then there's another, like, this is a cool move. That if I arm drag and his butt goes way back, but I actually got his arm, so your butt's back, and I got his arm, you can duck underneath him. And I'm not gonna throw him right now. But if you wanted to, you take him over the opposite way. So if I got the arm drag, his butt underneath me, duck under, throw him that way. So either one of those two. All right, let's do it. 1, 2. I have no idea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So smashing.
But when I mean, it's just like, wait, so you like spend the guy?
Yeah. Make sure you have it. Yeah.
The
mat there. You come across. He likes to what I'm more worried about is you in an extreme position. So well, you could do that, or if I toss like that. I feel like that's more free stuff.
Yeah, you get that, if you did that in bridge on it, you'd probably break in there for a second or two, which is all you really need.
Yeah, you would have to hit like that. Yeah.
Well, it's a signal you get. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm talking about.
My own bird.
Oh, see, just come right under it.
It's a little push with the head.
Yeah. What's up?
I've done that.
Yeah, full rush.
Because I got flexed and it just tore off. I don't know what happened.
No, me. man over here.
Me and Greg, we got fat.
Now is classic.
Good, man. Just can't find a place that feels comfortable. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, just, you know, there's data.
Yeah.
I'd rather just come in, put some guys up, and then go home.
Yeah, exactly. Sean, bring it in! Yeah.
Okay, this is snatch single again. This is the one that I hit the most on people, especially if they lead a foot that's in front of my foot. So I'm a right leg lead, and if their foot's in front of mine, this move works well for me a lot. Okay, and it's pretty simple. Not much instruction goes into it. Just got to be aware of it when you're going live in matches or in fighting, whatever you guys do. So, but yeah, matches too. I mean, wrestling, all that stuff. Yeah, all fighting. So it's simple though. We're both in a stance. He leads that foot, same side foot as me. All I do is I bring my hands up, because most of the time, wherever my hands go, his hands will follow. So if I bring my hand out here, most of the time he'll try and grab it. Or if I bring him up here, he'll bring his hands up, and I can bring him down. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring him high, his hands come high, and then I'm going to go underneath it, and I'm going to step on his toe. So this is called a toe step single. Okay? And then I lock my hands, drive up to my feet, and finish the shot. Alright? But I do this one a lot in matches, and if they don't lead that same leg, if they lead the opposite leg, then I just do the same thing, but step across on this foot, snatch single. And the guy I learned this from, he's actually in my weight class. His name's Reza Yazdani. He wrestles in Iran. This is the only move he hits, pretty much. Hits it on everybody. See, he's a left leg lead, so most guys are right leg leads. So he will grab people's fingers here, step on the foot. But I like to do it if they're a left leg lead on me. I like to do it here. Step on the foot, lock your hands, release for your finish. And for wrestling, the way he always does it when he would wrestle is he would be wrestling with this guy like this, and then he would kind of act like he got poked in the eye. And then he would come back in the center, smack hands, and step on the guy's toe right away for the takedown. Some tricky stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, and then another setup to it, if you wanted to do this setup, is just block this elbow so that he fights inside. As he fights inside, I step on the toe. And the good thing about this is when you step on someone's toe, it normally means you have to lower your level, so you're in a pretty good position to finish. All right, any questions? Let's try it, 1, 2.
I know my new move is now. Boom! Right in the instant.
He's at the me. I mean, if he was like,
Yeah. You don't even just like here, like how like it's like on here where you have your hands. It's kind of like that psychological like a swing muscle thing. Yeah, that can hide it. Like come here, like back. Yeah, so you're there.
I used to do that for my overload size.
Okay. Oh yeah. I did it when I lost. I know they can wait.
I just stepped in wrong. You can see my head.
Because he's doing like that. Like a rock. He's doing this like a rock.
That's cool. We'll probably come back and we'll 25.
Yeah, I know, dude. Like,
I just keep it over there.
back down.
I know you're used to it, but I'm not.
It's fine.
Okay, bring it in.
It's like high five.
Yeah, I don't.
This is just, we only got like 10 minutes left of the session, so I don't know if you guys had any questions about basically anything. Be quick technique fixes or training, any type of questions like that. Yeah.
How often do you train both sides? Both sides, like taking shots on both
Oh.
sides.
Well, just, I have shots to both sides of the body, so I'd say probably about 50%.
Okay.
50% of my shots on the right leg, 50% of my shots are on the left leg.
Okay.
And then, I'm not, some people are like big believers and you have to be able to shoot a high crotch one side and be able to shoot a high crotch the other side, single leg both sides. I think you just need a couple good attacks, one leg, couple good attacks the other leg. You don't have to be able to shoot penetration steps with both legs. Okay. Yeah. Well, you definitely want to be able to attack both sides of his body. Yeah.
Do you have any tips, like whenever I try to shoot like double or single, I was get stuck on the bottom of the person?
Stuck in the bottom of the person? Yeah, I think most important thing when you're shooting is your position. Setup is really important. If you just dive in there, then most of the time you're gonna end up in bad position, right? So setups are really important. But you won't end up in bad position ever if you take a shot with your hips underneath you and your head underneath you. Your head up, hips in, back straight, right? So if I just dive, this will be a problem. Even if I have a good setup, this might be a problem. But no setup at all. If I just shoot from space and I shoot with my good penetration step, head up, hips in, butt underneath me, then guys usually won't put me in a front headlock or I can clear it out. Okay, so that's something, stance in motion, I do it a lot. Something you can do by yourself, just to practice smooth penetration step, coming up. So your hips are always underneath you. Clear out. Yep.
What's your best setup to an ankle pick?
Best setup to an ankle pick? I'll show you real quick. Good question. Ankle pick's one of my favorite shots. This isn't not like a real wow setup, but none of my stuff really is. It's just kind of basic stuff, but usually it works. So typically, I collar tie with my backhand. I'm a right leg lead, so I collar tie with my backhand. If I collar tie with my front hand, then he can post and get to my leg. I don't want him to do that. So I collar tie with my backhand, and then I take my free hand and I grab his wrist. Okay? Now his foot's away from me. I want to ankle pick that foot, and it's away from me. So what I do is, I drive forward, and then I bring my elbow to my ribs here. And now that foot's in front of me. And then I just take his wrist down to the mat and throw him away. But I mean, it's simple, wrist and head. But why I like going off the wrist is because normally he doesn't feel as threatened when I pull his wrist down as if I actually just go down with my own hand. And when I bring his wrist down, he doesn't feel as threatened, and I can camouflage it. And then it's just your movement patterns. So when I'm in here in this collar tie, I'll be pushing and pulling, and sometimes I won't even go, right? Push and pull, out. That's how you set it up, yeah. You never really knows when you're going. You can always fake, slap at the ankle, coming back. Best setup to any shot in the world is a fake. That's the best setup. And I always bring someone up, so you come up, I'll show you the difference between faking and not faking. So hold your hands like this. When I do this, clap on it. Alright, that's wrestling. That's fighting without faking. Now clap. Alright? So when you fake, person never knows when you're going to come. Then you go. Good fakes, moving your feet, good fakes, really messes the person up. Puts them under a lot of stress, anxiety. Yeah.
What's your mental prep when you're getting ready for a match?
Mental prep when I'm getting ready for a match, I keep it pretty simple. I think I just try and value the correct things throughout my training, and same thing, value the correct things before competition. So what that means to me is everyone gets nervous before they compete, but I believe if you value the correct things, you can talk those nerves down and turn them into excitement. So correct things for me to value, I believe, are everything that you can control. So we can't control whether or not we win. We can't control what the ref does. We can't control our accolades, how many gold medals we have, because if we could control that and all of us would have 10 belts, we would be undefeated and nobody would have ever touched us, right? If I could control the wins, then I'd be $1 million and 0, because I want to win every time I do something, right? Everyone does. So, but I can't control that, so I don't focus on it. Instead, I focus on the things like my effort in the match, in my training. I focus on my attitude, consistently coming to practice with a mindset of how can I improve, how can I get better, positivity, just being happy to be here before I compete, because a lot of people you guys put in a lot of training to what you're doing, and then you go to the competition time and get real nervous. You know, maybe some of you guys get really excited, which is good, but a lot of times I'll get nervous, and when I should be getting excited, I put in all this work. Why don't I get excited to go out there and compete and do the thing that I love to do? So my attitude, my effort, and then just my overall input while I'm competing. How many times can I shoot? How many points can I score? How hard can I fight in each individual position? How hard can I fight when he has my leg? How hard can I fight when I have his leg? All those things are the things I think about and tell myself before my matches. So I don't really ever visualize myself winning. I don't really ever visualize myself on top of the podium. I visualize the things that I can really, it's not that I don't believe in myself, because I do. I believe if I wrestle my best, I'm the best wrestler in the world. But me saying that doesn't make me a better wrestler. Doesn't make me magically win the match. But me saying to myself, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to attack every single second I'm on the mat, that makes me a better wrestler, because I can actually go out there and grasp that. So that's what I think about. Yep.
Not so much the Olympic level, but when you're college level,
how much strength conditioning throughout the week? Like, what do you guys, in season, obviously it's
Yeah.
different out of season.
So
What is it on average?
I don't cut weight,
Yeah.
so that allows me to lift a lot more. If I was cutting weight, then that would be a problem. I couldn't lift that much. So I lift about 4 times a week, and I love to lift. So
Is this more your structure, like, periodic type lifting, where it's specific muscle groups, or is it more within
it's
overall?
yeah. I have a coach who helps me out with my program, and I pretty much just do whatever he says because I'm not as smart as him with that stuff. So I just 4 times a week he makes the workouts. I usually do them in the morning, and then wrestle in the afternoons and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. What was that?
No, that was kind of my next question. My follow-up to that was, okay, when is that in the morning
Right.
and then later?
Yeah, mornings.
What are your teammates that cut weight? How many times do they train, like weightlifting, strength conditioning?
They normally during the season, out of season, they'll normally lift 3 times a week. During the season, maybe once, maybe twice. Once, maybe twice a week they'll lift. It's normally a little more cardio workouts. Yeah, but they still lift to stay strong.
How does your relationship with your coaches reflect your wrestling?
I think that I have very good relationships with my coaches. I always have. My high school coach, I loved them. College coaches, I love. The USA Wrestling coaches, I love. They help me a ton. So I think, you want to surround yourself with people that you trust, that you know they are doing everything they can to make you a better person, better fighter, better wrestler, better individual. So, especially when you're training, you don't want to have any thoughts in the back of your mind that this person isn't thinking about what's best for you. That's what a coach is supposed to think about, what's best for you. So I have good relations with my coaches, and I think it helps me be happy, more happy, and wrestle a little better. Yep.
How do you deal with like negativity and like doubt that like creeps up in your mind if you've been training a lot for tournament or match or something?
Yeah, for sure. So sometimes that happens. It happens a lot. And like I said, the more I value the things I can control, the more excited I'll get for an opponent. So when I'm really disciplined in my mentality, and I really focus on those things that I listed off, no matter who my opponent is, especially the better guy, the better guy I'm more excited for, because I want the best version of himself, because I want to challenge myself and see if I have what it takes. I'm not scared of whether or not I'll win or lose, because I'm focused on growth. I'm focused on challenging myself in every position, and if he's a better wrestler than me, then he'll have to prove it, because we're going to wrestle. We're not just going to stand around and kind of even pit-pat with each other, barely touch each other, no one does anything. I want action to happen. I want him to prove to me that he's a better wrestler, and if he is, shake his hand, good job, go back and learn from it. But the worst things for me are when I get all tense before a match and I'm not valuing it. I don't think about the correct things, and I go out there and do nothing, win or lose, and now it's like I have nothing to. I got in no positions. What did I learn? Nothing. I need to get in positions to learn. Yeah.
Can you go over the sprawl technique a little bit, please?
Sprawl technique is how I sprawl.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, in wrestling, we're in a stance, but for me, I'm just always ready for my opponent to shoot, and the technique of it is basically I'm throwing both my feet back, hands go out in front of me here to block his shot, and I slam my hips into the mat. Okay? So, again, I'm in good position here. My hands go out in front of me to block his body from shooting, and then my legs slide back. And that's another thing you can do in stance of motion. You can shoot, and then you can work on your fall. Last question, yeah.
What's the best stance to be in?
What's the best stance to be in? Best stance to be in is where your fingertips can always touch the mat. That means you're low enough. You're not changing your lead leg, okay? You always want to have the lead leg that you shoot with in front of you. Fingertips up, head up, and then I always have my upper body a little bit over my lead leg. But at the same time, because I'm low, I can move my feet, I can fake, I can hand fight, I can sprawl, circle up, and I stay in the same position the whole time, here. Okay, so 1 foot forward, and it's different for everybody. I don't look like you, so my stance is different. I don't look like you, my stance is different, stance is different. Everyone's stance is a little different, because everyone's body's a little different. But for me, I just like being low. I can touch the mat, my head's up, I move my hands, knees are bent so I can move my feet. But thank you guys very much for having me. I appreciate it. Good job. Good job.
Can we get a quick picture? Sure. Yeah.
Good job. Good job. Good job.
Thank you.
Steven, you said
Good job.
Just like, yeah. You're 17.
Where's the picture?
Yeah, here. Let's all, yeah, let's come get a picture. If you guys want to. You want me to get a picture for you guys?
No,
Ladies?
On this wall or?
Whatever, yeah.
Cool. I'll take a date.
Yeah, Rob.
Can you send it to me?
Okay. Awkward. Yeah, two, yeah.
What I got?
Should we be looking at different cameras?
I'm looking at the sky.
I'm only looking at the big one.
Thanks. Next fight.
That would be cool.
Yeah, here.